Okay, Facebook sharing your screen. Perfect. All right, so welcome everybody. So thank you for your dedication for being here this weekend. No problem. We're going to go ahead and share my screen. So let me turn on my video first of all. So welcome everyone. Looking forward to talking with all of you tonight. We have a big turnout. This is our first Satoshi Saturday. We are going to be putting on these regularly, and we're going to be covering a lot of information. So thank you all for being here. Definitely thank you. Wow. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you guys a lot of information on how to get to the next level when it comes to trading crypto. We're going to look at first of all, who is this for? So this is a community of people. Rather than looking at the media and the fear, uncertainty and doubt articles that are out there that are just trying to gather eyeballs, we're going to be avoiding all the fluff, all the hype. We're going to go straight to what is really happening around the market. We see, whenever we go into battle, so to speak, what was the first thing we want to do? We want to look at the terrain. We want to understand what are we working with, what are the fundamentals, and then we're going to move on to the specific technicals, which is timing our attack. So thank you all for being here today. We're going to get started right now. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get this show on the road. So without further ado, my name is Robert Paddock. For those that don't know me, I have been a trader for 27 years. I've been trading stocks, options, commodities, forex, crypto. Well, actually all of those for 27 years except for crypto. Crypto is only 6 years that I have been trading. So please note that I have quite a bit of experience. I have won first place in the world in a global stock trading competition. That's not to impress you, but it is impressed upon you that I'm talking from experience, from battle scars, from being in the trenches, not just reading from a book. I have maintained a high consistency of accuracy, made many predictions of recessions a year before they happen, both in 2007 as well as 2018. I do a lot of pinpointing, not just the direction markets will move, but how far they can move, and also why they will move that far down. So as well as how they will pause along the way, and sort of realizing what are the fundamentals driving those moves, as well as the technical charts. So I have spoken on stages at convention centers, taught a lot of people about trading throughout the years, and I continue to do so. And that includes Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So I have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to trading, and I like to teach people how to become the top 1% of all traders. So one thing that people need to realize, that the only thing we're not going to look at is just charts. We understand the fundamentals, we understand the sentimental analysis and the geopolitical analysis. Now, what do I mean by all those? So basically, we want to be paying attention to as much information as possible, whatever we have time to analyze, and then decide what we want to ignore. So the more information we have, the better we can perform. Sort of like driving down the highway. We want to have both eyes open. If we're going to use one eye only, or both eyes. So we're going to look at two types of analysis today. Well, all four actually: technical, fundamental, geopolitical, and sentimental analysis. So basically what we have here is, in the past, I've done a lot of predictions. And first of all, I'm going to start off with a disclaimer. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. No one on this call is making themselves out to be a certified professional. Is who you need to go talk to before making any investment decisions. Don't hold anyone liable for any decisions you make arising out of this information today. This is strictly education purposes only, entertainment purposes only. This is past performance is not an indicator of future results. And the reason why I say that is because we've had quite some impressive results. Just to give you an idea, for example, we have Dogecoin. We've been seeing this since you saw some of those presentations I've done for years. Since 2018, I have been saying that Dogecoin could perform very well, just because it is a joke coin, but it is not to be ruled out. And as we've seen, it has performed significantly well. So going back further, you can actually see that this is a coin that used to be priced well below a penny, right? Not even 1% of a penny. So since then, we're talking about 2020, early March. We're looking at 0.15 cents. Okay. So, this is a coin that I was saying don't rule it out, because there are so many different coins out there that perhaps the joke coin could end up being the winner if a celebrity were to say, I had actually mentioned on these prior videos I've made throughout the year that Kim Kardashian might say something about it. And 5 days later, Elon Musk started tweeting about it. So lo and behold, it shot up to 70 cents. While it was at 70 cents, we had actually done a video of the Saturday Night Live that Elon Musk was on live talking about Dogecoin. We had talked about it in our community. Actually, that was a week before it happened. So if you're not on our Facebook group, please make sure to be on there. This is a subsidiary of another group that I do manage. I do have a stock trading group on Facebook. For those that don't know, I have the largest and oldest stock trading group on Facebook. It has 133,000 members. So this is now a spin-off of this group. We have a crypto trading group, and this is where you want to be plugged in to stay on top of these announcements and future shows that we have. As you can see, we just got our first flyer for the first time ever for Satoshi Saturday. So congratulations for those that made it on live. You're going to get a little bit extra value. We're going to show more stuff and have stuff extra at the end that we are not going to be showing throughout the live streams. We're going to be showing some of my top resources, weapons, and tools that I use to give myself an advantage, some that helps me perform consistently at a high accuracy. And this is something that if you're not on watching this replay, please make sure you're on the next one. Okay, we're going to be doing these every single week. So we do have here, you can see in our group here on Facebook, we have actually announcements section up at the top. That's where you'll be able to find a lot of videos and replays of some of these calls we've done in the past. And that includes the ones that we did, for example, with studying the sentimental analysis. For example, we do polls here, and you can see here Saturday Night Live with Elon Musk, the Doge father. So just to give you a perspective, this was the call we did with him live. And you can actually see here that he was talking. At the same time, we were looking at the chart of Dogecoin and how it is being affected by his comments. So you can actually see that paying attention to stuff like this, the sentiment of the market is the mood of the market. We're learning how to profit whether prices move up or down. Okay, so we've actually learned to profit in both directions here. So it's not just having to hold on to something for dear life forever, and it can be time consuming for it to be able to go up. So just so you know, we are going to be doing a lot of these calls now and a lot of these videos. You do want to be able to stay on top of the markets. You can actually see here, we have this video playing down here where Elon Musk was talking at the same time as the chart was moving. So something that is an example of sentimental analysis. So again, for 3-4 years, I've been talking about Dogecoin having the potential of not just being rolled out, even though it was meant to be a joke coin. If people were to start tweeting about it, that's what ended up happening. And then we also talked about a week prior to this call that he did on Saturday Night Live, we actually said that there could be a buy the rumor, sell the news type of event where these whales may have been exiting their positions on that day of the show. Lo and behold, that was pinpointing right there at the top for Dogecoin, 70 cents. So it's really good to stay on top of things. I'm not going to show you all the videos I do have. I've made prior predictions that are being extremely accurate. But just to give you an idea, here I was talking about in a video saying that the price of Bitcoin could drop drastically. This was actually recorded on early May, okay, May 12th, okay, May 10th. So on May 10th, we were actually calling for a decline in the markets. And just to play you a pretty quick clip of this, let's just hear a little bit of what I was saying at that time.
Okay, on these rapid fire calls, actually last week was a more extended version, and what we had said last week. So let's go ahead and just play it. I'll have a more bearish signal. Okay, I'm keeping the lines parallel, and we can see that this could perhaps go to as low as 30,000. This is Bitcoin. So I am making a bold prediction here that we at this time cannot rule out the possibility of Bitcoin hitting 30,000. If you combine that with the coin market cap dominance, where Bitcoin is tanking and steadily declining and trajecting lower, there is a chance it could continue on that path. If it does, it could easily hit 30,000 still. I'm going to turn on my moving averages here since we're with this first MACD line. So my target is very realistically about 40,000 and possibly even actually this down here. Wow, that's actually 20,000. So we can't rule out 20,000 for Bitcoin. And this is perhaps going to be recorded and watched one day in the future, so hello future. When it's 20,000 again. Because I have been spot on quite often. But
anyway, let me just pause this here quickly. We have this playing here still. All right. So you can see we made super bold predictions.
And still have high accuracy. Just realize that we do have all the three moving averages down here, 2 days or a month and a week.
This is Ethereum.
So by the beginning of June, it is possible we could see Ethereum at 2,000. These are crazy predictions, 50% off, but we'll come back to this in a month or two, I guess. Okay, so that's not looking good right now. Let's put on the Bollinger Band. It is in the upper half of the house. Okay, so the middle is right here. It is right here right now, so there's a chance it could somewhat decline, if not go even further to the first moving average. So I'm not looking very happy here. I do see a potential fresh cross about to happen in Ethereum. I'm not going to spend this much time on all the coins. I'm just focusing on Bitcoin and Ethereum the most. But you can see that could be coming. If that does materialize, I'm known for pinpointing tops in the markets because I can see these things happening. Now, there's no guarantee it will, but this stochastics will happen first, which will drag the MACD to do a fresh cross and perhaps drag the RSI back to closer to 50. And always look at the number up here. It's currently 70. So going from 70 down to 50, I have to favor strongly the bear camp to the downside for Ethereum to abort mission really quickly, because that's not a time when I would be staking. Yeah, we can see that's not a good timing for Litecoin either. And although this one is, what do we have? A decline and a decline, and it actually hit perfectly that level with the wick. Okay, so you get an idea. This was last week, right? So we saw Bitcoin, we had called it when it was in the 50s that it could hit 30,000 was the correct answer. I had actually given 3 targets for that. It was actually 40,000, 32,000, and 20,000. So those are the numbers someone had asked in the chat today for the downside. So yes, a lot of people took a hit. I am not one of those people. I did not take any hit over the last 7 days at all. In fact, we're showing people that I had made a profit. So
you get the idea. So this is just a quick recap showing that, while people are talking about buy the dip and being smart about that, you're not realizing that you could have actually profited on the downside move. So if it takes sometimes a year or 2 or 10 years for something to go up, but only 1 year to decline, you can actually create a 10-year profit in one single calendar year. You just need to understand how to profit in the downward direction. So definitely we can see, that this is definitely something that is very powerful, that anyone can learn how to do. You just have to understand that money is not lost during a crash. It's merely transferred to a handful of people that are on the correct side of the markets. And this is a learnable skill. This is something that people can, come into possession of that knowledge on how to do that and profiting in both directions. So you can probably, regardless of what the market's doing, as long as it's moving, you're making money. So that's the beauty of trading the markets, not just hodling. So it's all about not being emotional. People want to be in a community that is discussing, analyzing, and strategically what's really going on in the markets without the hype. Then you can actually find those opportunities for great value setups. And people are patterns, markets are patterns, and therefore we can anticipate sometimes those moves. And we're all about not being emotional. So, people have varying levels of skills here. It's all about surrounding yourself with the right crowd, and then you too can elevate yourself to having better results on your own. So, with that being said, how to become a consistent trader and with confident in your own decision-making abilities. First step, understand the terrain. So, what is the terrain? Well, right now we do have a few different things going on. We don't want to be looking at just Reddit posts. I'm going to start these calls off in the future, and I'm going to start with basically we're going to go over we're going to do these memes for the week. What are the memes for the weeks, and what are the articles for the week? So just a quick recap of what some people have been showing. Stock market 3% down, crypto markets 40% down. Laughing at the 40% decline while stock traders are panicking with the 3% decline. So welcome to the world of crypto trading. This is why with the extreme volatility in crypto markets, there's also volatility equals opportunity. As long as you know what you're doing, you're learning how to trade with protective measures, stop losses, risk reward ratios. There are ways to mitigate risks. Just like driving a car, you can wear a seatbelt, you can go the speed limit, and be careful what to the moon means, because sometimes that can also mean down. That's a great meme. And so altcoins waiting to see what Bitcoin will do next week. Definitely, we're going to talk about this today. And when people say buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, just be careful that it can keep on dipping. Definitely. So these are some great ones here. This is fine that we're down 27%. If you've been in crypto for a while, you've lived through 80% declines, but that's not an excuse to hold something that's dropping and losing money. In fact, losing any money is not justifiable when you could be profiting again in the downward direction. So we got quite a bit of great memes here, right? So Bitcoin, this is great. This is my favorite one. 65,000, everyone is lining up to buy it. When I'm saying at 38,000 that it's great deal, or at 30,000, then people don't want to listen. It seems to be that people are over greedy when it goes up, and they're over fearful when it goes down. But what I'm trying to do is teach you how to be a little bit of a contrarian investor, because contrarians I've done extremely well in many different markets being a contrarian. So just means I don't want to end up like that guy. Just be paying attention to not what everyone else is doing, but what are the top performers doing. Okay, so that's what I've been doing for a long time. I've been able to pinpoint tops and bottoms because for years I've been paying attention to the regulatory climate. What do I mean by that? So what we have here is, if you look up Bill S3571 in the United States, Bill S3571, or otherwise known as the Banking for All Act. This is a law that came into play. Well, it actually didn't. It actually was just proposed. However, it did mention that they are looking to create member banks of the Federal Reserve to create digital pass-through accounts, i.e. digital dollar wallets. So this is something as far back as March 2020 when I saw this come out. Okay, it was actually the day that the stock market bottomed, just so you know, in the 2020. Okay, the very lowest day of the stock market on that year. So they came out with this idea to make every bank, in Federal Reserve Bank, make every citizen and business in the United States have to have a digital wallet account. I was surprised they were sending stimulus checks still by mail when they could just electronically deposit it in everyone's account. It seems to be that Bitcoin is perhaps, who is Satoshi? We don't know who that is. Who is Satoshi? This is Satoshi Saturdays. This is a question that I'll ask every week, because if you don't know who Satoshi is, then you don't know who he isn't. And is it a he or a she or a they? Is it a group? Is it a government that created it? And I'm going to get back to that in a moment. So basically, you can see here this text of this. You can go to congress.gov. You can actually see this bill that was proposed. Bill S3571. Basically, if you go down to section 5B1, it says all Federal Reserve banks shall not later than January 1st, 2021, make digital wallets available to all residents and citizens of the United States and the businesses. So that never happened. However, you can see their intention. And now you can actually see Janet Yellen, the previous Federal Reserve chairman. She is now the Treasury Secretary of the United States, talking about having to maybe more regulate, more tax transactions of cryptocurrency. We also have development this week about Texas finally saying that they're actually approving cryptocurrencies as a legitimate form of payment. So that's something interesting, and this may anger other countries that are not as involved in Bitcoin specifically. So we do see that the Federal Reserve now is creating a Fed Now system. What this means is it will be transactions that are instantaneous, okay, and they're starting to use it. So banks seem to be going around the government and just starting to create their own system of instant payments. So this is something that if we have a digital form, we've talked about this since 2018 actually, that the IMF was already talking about creating the standard drawing right becoming a central bank coin, or letting all central banks have their own coin. They didn't decide yet. So now, fast forward to 2021, we seem to be having here, they're starting to use this. And the Fed Now system, it is for instantaneous payments, okay, for crypto. So just so you know, the Federal Reserve System is the largest. The third largest here, apparently, according to Google, is China right now for the People's Bank of China. And so that is important when there's waves happening, because that's what we've seen happen last week. Over the weekend, we had announcements coming out of China that drove prices. So this is important to digest even before we look at any charts, because even if our charts say certain thing, up or down direction for a certain coin, we can always get a new piece of news coming out tomorrow or 5 minutes after you've watched this about, perhaps mining or trading being restricted in China. Why is that important? Because about 2/3, if not more, of mining occurs for Bitcoin in China. So just so you know, if they say that they're going to restrict some capital, I'm not going to talk too much since we're live about this. Just going to say that it will diversify Bitcoin. It will make it stronger if it is more than one country, okay, regulating so much influence over Bitcoin. But it is interesting to me because, again, we don't know who Satoshi is or isn't. Is there a government that created Bitcoin? And then there are obviously ties with other countries, both frenemies, enemies, and friendly countries. So we're starting to see this expose who maybe Satoshi was or is, and by looking at which countries are in favor or not in favor of Bitcoin. So that's something to keep an eye on. And just so you know, we could have more announcements coming down with crackdowns. So we actually warned a week ago that the whales, if they were involved with pushing prices down to accumulate more, they may not be done feasting. As we can see right now, prices seem to still have been, dropping a little bit. So we actually said a week ago, these are daily charts here. So what this means, when I have a daily candle chart, that means every single candle represents one day on this chart. So we can see exactly a week ago, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A week ago, we actually saw this decline. We saw it may pause and reverse higher because there was a certain formation. This is one pattern we look at as traders in the markets, where we can actually anticipate the decline based on the size of this head being the size of the decline in the future, right? So this is something that we pay attention to as traders. However, we were finding ourselves at this certain stage last week, okay, right here. And I said, because this is so sideways from here to here, I said we could expect easily a bounce upward. However, this is still overall a bearish formation. As you can see, we can head lower, much lower. So what we saw is, despite that negative bias to the long term, I said immediately that we would have perhaps a bigger chance. I would have to side with the bulls for a move higher. How high, we do not know for sure. As long as it stays below this level, all-time highs that is, then this still counts as a right shoulder and we can still head lower. So we see now, we have here on this screen a shape. This is the overall market trend right now. So here's a left shoulder, here is the head, where we need to exceed that level in order to break this pattern and become extremely bullish all over again, only at all-time highs. okay? And here would be a right shoulder. So we can now see that we did in fact have a move upward, downward. We created the perfectly looking shape of this head, almost exactly at this precise level of going sideways here. That would be the neckline we need to break to become a catastrophic fall. So we got our little bounce that we said and back down. We did say, warning, this may go up, just so you know. That would still count as a head and shoulder, but it looks like we didn't even have to go up more than 3 days before we came down 3 days, and we are now presently at this location where we are starting to get close to the neckline. We're just a little bit short of that, so it can still drop about another $200 for Ethereum from 2246 down to about let's put the exact price on here because it's not 2000. Let me get my crosshair. We can see that to get to that level of the neckline, we're looking at 2080. Okay, so if we break below, let's just say 2050. If we can get to 2050, we're in big trouble. 2000 especially. So how this works is typically when you have a line and the price will bounce along this line. Once it breaks through, it'll often retest and then head down. So we can see if we can hit 2000, that would be close enough to say that this could be in hot water, in big trouble. So pay attention, especially if we break below 2000. 2000 is going to be really bad, even though it's not the lowest we hit for Ethereum. And I started with Ethereum, and I can talk about Bitcoin. It's going to have the same formation. Okay, let's look at the daily chart here. So what we have here for Bitcoin, it's actually a much larger giant head and shoulders. So just to show you how patterns repeat and people repeat, you can see here we had a head and shoulders initially. We had talked about that on prior calls. We anticipated that there was the neckline. Had we fallen below that, which we did. So first of all, we said it will come down to the neckline where it becomes a 50-50 battle. And at that point, we said if it breaks below, we're in big danger. How big of a danger? It is specifically the height of this head. Okay, so the height of this head, that's exactly how far down we saw the price go down. Okay, so we anticipate not just the direction, but how far down it will go. It is exactly at that level right now, actually. Okay, so from now on, it is all bets are off. However, do you notice something else? We have a larger head and shoulders now that is intact, and we anticipated that a week or two ago. We already saw this happening where we can actually say this entire head and shoulders formation is just the head itself. We said if this turns out to be the head, okay, what we have here is we anticipated a week ago we could have a move higher, and we said it could count if it is small as this, which we just got, and we now fallen almost below that neckline right now, which is a danger. We could fall, like we had said in earlier this month. I said that we cannot rule out 20,000. In fact, according to this, I gotta actually say it's more scary than that. I don't think it can go to zero that quickly, but the point is the height of this head is the target. So it is possible we could be hitting 10 grand. So this is a new prediction, okay? But, I know the bargain hunters will definitely come in, but that's crazy. We're getting close to the price of the electricity to create one Bitcoin again, if that happens. So I don't think that this is easy for this to do that right now. The good news for the bulls is I don't think that's a high probability. I think that it's a much higher probability that, just talking from technical analysis perspective right now, avoiding what any other country is doing or celebrity is doing, or whale is doing, just looking at the charts themselves, that from a technical perspective only, this is more likely for this to create a bigger shoulder, okay? Because this is a very small one we've had right now. Although we are potentially cannot rule out a decline right now, I would say it's neutral, okay? Because we could go higher, make a much larger shoulder. In fact, it would still count if it was this large. As long, again, as it's less than the height of the prior high, we need to hit 65,000 or higher in order to break this negative formation. Okay, so until that happens, unless we hit an all-time high, this is the only time I'm going to say this, by hitting an all-time high, then I become bullish. I typically like to get in early, not last. But in that case, this is the only way to break this one pattern. Okay, so it's not looking good. The overall risk is that this, even if it goes up, it's just making a bearish shape. So that's still not the greatest news for Bitcoin. Why does that matter? Because Bitcoin is a driver. It's a driver of the general theme of the commodities, or sorry, cryptos. And so just to give you an idea, if you can go to coinmarketcap.com, this is one chart that I do like here. If you put your mouse over cryptocurrencies and click on global charts, you can actually see that we have here a great chart. It's the third one. So the first of all, we've got total market cap of all coins combined. We took a little bit of hit here. We hit as high as 2.5 trillion, and we went as low back down to about one and a half, even lower than that. So we're off that low. We're back up to about 1.7 trillion right now. Okay. But time will tell what happens next. But this is what we came here for. Percent of total market capitalization dominance. Meaning, back in 2017, I was paying close attention to Bitcoin's dominance, because I've often said stuff like, just because you're the biggest, it's not meaning that you're solidified a permanent position. Just like none of us use Netscape Navigator to browse the internet. Maybe someone watching this is, but I don't think so. So, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. At that time, during 2017, I was watching, will we have the so-called flippening, meaning another coin will flip over to having the new dominance, and Ethereum was starting to emerge as the second place. So on the last few calls, we've actually been talking about watching this decline here, saying, will it resemble this? Because we actually dropped to below where we've seen since 2018, summer 2018. So we said this is a time where I may agree with, not like, I love that meme that says buying the dip, buying the dip, buying the dip. It keeps going lower and lower and lower. It's not necessarily the smartest thing to do. This one, we said, is actually possible that buying the dip may work, but we ended up deciding it was 50-50. We're just going to pay attention, update you first every week on what's happening with this market cap dominance. Is Bitcoin in the driver's seat or losing the driver's seat? And this would indicate altcoin season number 2 of this big season here emerging. So I do believe that is on track. Back then, 3 years ago, I actually did said it's only a matter of time that Bitcoin will flip with another coin, and not necessarily Ethereum. All right, but Ethereum does have about 80% of developers right now working on programs. So we can see we have this little uptick. So that's changed in the last 7 days. We see a little bit of an uptick in Bitcoin gaining some ground. So this is the chart. If we compare Ethereum to Bitcoin, we can see Ethereum had a little bit of a setback, okay, to Bitcoin. Then it came up a little bit and now back down a little bit. This is a typical, doesn't know what it wants to do, right? It has to decide one way or another. This is a common shape. When something gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it has to fall out one way or another. If it drops, it can drop by the same amount as here to here. All right, if it goes up, it can go up by that same amount. So we're about to see an explosion of either Bitcoin regaining dominance or Bitcoin losing dominance. Right now, it's a bit too early to tell, but it looks like it will have to make up its mind soon. Right now, it's in the middle of this wedge. So if it drops down to here, it's going to be more at risk of falling. This is Ethereum compared to Bitcoin. That means that the Bitcoin is getting stronger if this happens. Okay. Now, if this happens, that means Ethereum is getting stronger. Bitcoin is losing strength. Okay. So we're going to pay attention to this. Right now, we have no update. We got to watch and see which one it will break out first, and it's not even closer to one or the other. In a week, it will be, okay? So in 7 more candles, we will have probably a breakout or at least touching one of the lines. So let's check back that in a week. Definitely want to make sure you're here on this call next week. Satoshi Saturdays, 12 noon PST. It's just SatoshiSaturdays.live to get in the room. We don't have a registration page right now. but that's coming. So basically, get on these calls because you definitely don't want to miss these analysis calls. Bitcoin, we see that we're near the neckline right now. So if we do count this as a potential head and shoulders, we say potential until it breaks below the neckline. This is the neckline. Okay, so it looks like it is just right now below that neckline. If you count this as, if you want to count that as the right shoulder, then we are just right now confirmed, like it's close, but it's below that neckline. So that's, it could be a fake out where it quickly shoots back up and then we can ignore that and it can just resume another move up and then create an even bigger shoulder. That's too close to call, but it is warning time. Okay, so definitely I would not necessarily, definitely got to be careful. Use your stop losses, use your demo counts if you're still learning, because we're going to have to wait and see if the right shoulder will get bigger, or are we indeed just broken below that neckline. I would have to be on the sidelines for a little while first to make sure. Okay, so Ethereum, same shape. You see this head and shoulders formation happening here. That's what we talked about. Now on Ethereum, this may be a hint. Notice Ethereum has a different shape of the head and shoulders. The left shoulder is the smaller one. The right one is the bigger one. What this tells me is it's a hint that that Bitcoin shoulder that's the right one is too small could actually be the real deal. Because if Ethereum is ready to rock and roll to the downside, because that counts as a right shoulder, that's pretty symmetrical, if not even larger, then if we saw Ethereum break below the neckline, which it has not fallen below, then we're in huge trouble. We could hit 1,000 Ethereum or below. So right now, just to show you, we're actually still a little bit of ways away. Again, we need to hit 2,080 to be at the line. 2,000, we're in trouble. We're confirmed that we dropped below that neckline and we could retest and head lower. So we'll see if we can do that to get to that 2,000 level. And by the way, 2,000 is a psychological support level. So between 2261, which we're presently at, and 2,000, there's not really many psychological supports holding us above that. So I'm actually going to try to get some clues. Let's zoom in and see if I can see any support levels here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on one specific tool I like to use. I have an indicator called a volume profile, visible range. I'm going to just change one quick setting here. Let's just double check something. If I can get some proof that we are having support or not for this particular Ethereum, because that'll drive also Bitcoin's direction. Ethereum is that important now already. So I'm going to put this on the left side to get it out of the way. And let's do, let's make this wider. Let's go to 50%. All right. And let's keep that there. Okay. All right. So where do we see here? So it looks like 1788. So again, that's trouble. That's below the 2000 mark. So we're trying to see if there's any support before we hit 2000, dropping down to 2000. And the next support I see is actually at 1788. That's not helping. That's not helping our case. Remember, we're trying to see if we can stay above this neckline. And that's interesting. On the 4-hour chart, the neckline is actually looks different. So it's actually lower. So the 2000 level is actually the support, the psychological support on the 4-hour chart, 4-hour candles. So that means that 2000 may be helping. Okay, if we don't break this 2000 level, we can't hit the neckline on the 4-hour candle chart, then we may not break this shape on the 4-hour chart, which would then help it to break on the daily candle chart. So by zooming in, we did a little bit of a trick here. We see that we actually have some hope. As long as we can hold 2000, that's going to be very crucial. I can't stress that enough. It's basically do or die time at 2000. I would not be surprised if we touch 2000. Okay, I would be actually surprised if we don't at this point. And just to help me confirm that, let's have a look at some other indicators here. Oh boy, yes. So I'm right about this one here. We're trajecting lower on the MACD still. Now this stochastics we just treat it like a roller coaster. It's currently at the bottom, so the next move logically is higher. However, will it happen right away or not? Because you can see sometimes this can stay down here for a prolonged period of time before it shoots up. If it can do that again, you can see it's done it before, then that would allow for declines to keep falling. Okay, so this is going to be close. This is going to be extremely close because we need to get to this neckline to have panic, and rightfully so panic this time based on charts. If we can fall below that line, so we need about, these are 4-hour charts, candles, so we need about 1 2 3 4 5. We need another day or two of declines, and it is Sunday. So last week we had Bitcoin decline 10. Bitcoin went up 10%. On Sunday it dropped 18%. So it is possible within 24 hours to fall below that line, especially since this is falling. And if this can just stay sideways before shooting up, rather than shooting up right away, then that would enable this to break that neckline. But the good news, there's some hope for the bulls, and that is the fact that, you know, this is already pretty sold off to oversold territory, so it's more likely to go up immediately, this stochastic. So that's helping. If it can shoot up quickly, that might be just enough in time to help us avoid hitting this neckline, or even if we hit it, not falling below it. Okay, so the RSI is helping too a little bit because it's at 37, which is lower than 50. So that may come up a little bit. If that comes up a little bit, if this comes up fast, quickly, soon, then this may help the MACD turn around. And that means we may, at the worst case scenario, just touch the neckline, but not necessarily break below it. And if we don't break below this neckline on the 4-hour candle chart, that means that it'll be harder on that. Well, that will already have broken on the 1 day, but we still have hope. Nonetheless, overall mood, I'm a little bit cautious. The fact that we have this kind of shape going on, and if we break this neckline, we can have extreme selling, just like it is typical of here. Okay, I want you to be paying attention. This is normal on the psychology of a typical market. Okay, so what you can see, you can have a trend line. The price makes higher highs, higher lows, higher high, higher low, until it breaks below that trend line, and then all panic ensues. So we can see, just because it is staying up does not mean that it is bullish. It is in fact got more of a risk of falling. In fact, I can draw that line for you on here to show you where it is. It's right there. Okay, as soon as it fell below that line, that green line, you see that it actually, all panic ensued. Okay, all the support was wiped out. Okay, so we had the price, it bounced once, tested the line, that showed us where to draw the line. The second time it tested it, it did break below. It retested it one more time before it fell considerably. So that is possible. We could see this exact pattern I've drawn here still materialize here. In fact, we're dangerously close to that. To draw that in, let's clear this. Let's do it in this here, so you can see it more visibly right there. Okay, so we're going to be watching that line very carefully, and just so you know, it is increasing. What does this mean? When this red line is moving upward, this is problem, because if the price were to go for Ethereum or Bitcoin sideways from here, does it break below the line? Yes, it does. Okay, if we had a line that was going lower, by going sideways, we get further and further away from that line. But when the line is going upwards, a sideward move actually breaks us below. So we're in big trouble. Okay, this is not going to be easy unless we can make an immediate sharp move higher to maintain this trend line. That's not going to be easy. Okay, just so you know. So we looked at a couple of main coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum. We looked at the ratio between the two. We can see that Bitcoin, this is neutral right now. Okay, this doesn't tell us either direction right now, looking at the two compared to one another. So we're just going to have to check in and keep up to date with what's happening with that. But what we can do is look at some of the smaller coins, right? And it's not looking promising either, because we can see here, I've got my formation here where it doesn't look good. So we could actually fall back down to 100 or 150 for Binance coin. I know they're going through some issues with regulations. Also Cardano, same thing. We do have this time a slightly higher peak, but going from here slightly higher would be here, not here. So that tells me that we should have been here. And not only that, it's gone down since then. So this looks like it's due for quite a drop, even sub $1. We're at $1.36 right now. So it can't rule out Cardano going below $1, even 75 cents. Unless this MACD makes a next bounce, which it will eventually. But even then, we're looking at $1 as the best case scenario. The good news for the bulls, we do see somewhat that this is likely to go higher. However, I would be more bullish if it had dropped first. So if this can fall, then I become bullish, because we can have a longer move upward for a longer period of time. And as you can see, this is neutral RSI here at 44. So it's going to be tough for this next little bit while here. DOT here, we can see, well, this coin is interesting because it had an immediate sell-off at the beginning. So there's some stuff going on there with the founders dumping coins that maybe they don't believe in this project. That's a hint if you see something like that happening. But definitely we still see a Head and Shoulders. Okay, here's a good example. Here's an example of a Head and Shoulders that did not work. Okay, so for this coin here, for DOT, we see that we had the head up here. Now, as soon as you go higher than the level of the head, the pattern no longer works. Okay, so you abort mission and you can cancel everything. But in this case, it was just one or two candles. So that was a fake out. And if you ignore those two candles, then yes, you still have an intact potential Head and Shoulders. This is now, if you ignore that fake out, this is a confirmed breakdown. Okay, so that's a hint for what Ethereum and Bitcoin may do. If you ignore this, like all the other coins are lower with their right shoulders, then we have fallen below that neckline, which means we can have a target of this to the downside, which we actually did hit. We've bounced off of that level. Bargain hunters came in. The question is, are whales done feasting? That is the big question. That's the $1 million question. Are whales done loading up like crazy for this? Who are the celebrities that may still tweet? Because Tesla, Elon Musk, when he went on Saturday Night Live, it was 3 days later that he said that he will no longer allow Tesla to accept Bitcoin for transactions. It's like 3 days later, his hype wore off and he felt in the mood to impact the crypto markets twice in 1 week. I know Tesla, they created a factory in China at around the time of the lockdowns occurring, and they were allowed to quickly reopen and continue operating in China. So it's interesting that Elon Musk was on Saturday Night Live. 3 days later, he said Tesla will not accept Bitcoin. And then less than 3 weeks later, China said some comments about Bitcoin, also detrimental to Bitcoin. So this is interesting. Are they in conjunction working together? Okay, so that's something to pay attention to. Nonetheless, you got all countries around the world. I'm going to give you next week an update. We got Iran banning crypto, like mining. We have other countries adopting it, like Canada saying that, a Canadian dollar crypto could be beneficial to Canada. So we're going to pay attention to this on top of Texas just saying stuff. So you got an idea what's going on. Ripple, a lot of people talked about this. I talked about this. Ripple, I talked about actually way back when it was way back here. Let's go back to 2020. We're looking at 13 cents, 20 cents. Okay. We had been saying on some of our calls that it can shoot up like crazy. Okay. December 2020, especially, we have a video we said we liked this around 22 cents. What did it do? It shot up to $2. Actually, at this level here, let's see, where was that? Around this time period, we had also said it may drop. Okay, and it did. It dropped back down to $1. I think my target was $1.10 because at that time, using these indicators, you can see here a typical shape for this MACD was a fresh cross. So we saw that coming, this decline. Okay, we profited to the downward direction. Basically, whenever the red line is crossed by the blue line is the more important one. That's a fresh cross that occurred over here. We started selling. This was too elevated. This roller coaster, it was overbought, too high, ready for a decline. That's exactly what happened. Also, the RSI was too high. It was close to 90, which hasn't been that high for quite a while. So we saw that coming back down to 50, exactly what it did. So we called it to the downside, we made money to the downside. We called it at the bottom, we made money to the upside. And these are big moves, 10 times higher without any leverage. And if you're using leverage, it's a lot more than that. So here we don't have a head and shoulders. This is not. So this is interesting. What we do have instead is perhaps, let's see what we have here. So I have here, actually let's do this way, some channel. Let's have a look at this quickly. A downward moving channel, and let's clone that. If I make a second one, move that down, there's our channel. And I'm going to draw one more in the middle. Okay, let's move that to the center. Okay, so I'm actually bullish on this now. Why? Because we've already gone from this peak down to here. If I replicate that peak of the MACD on the chart, we can actually see that we've already hit that target, and then we went a little bit too low. So it's actually bullish. And we could see a slight jump here. I say slight because also that would be the 50% of that 3 blue lines. Going back to the middle is the easiest. I could even hit the top one, but the middle is even easier. So I will be surprised if this doesn't go up. Stochastics looks like it's got more room to the upside. Even the RSI is cooperating. It's 37. It's slightly going up to 50. So yeah, this is not bad. In fact, I'm going to go and draw a box here for a long position right now. I'll put my stop loss below this red trend line. Let me clear this mess. Okay. So what we can see here, I'm putting my stop loss below this red line for entering at this current moment. Again, this is not financial advice. This is education purposes only, how to read charts. And here we can see a support level I had identified, and another one, or a resistance level in this case. So what I will do is I'll actually open up 3 trades here. What I'll do is I'll use the same stop loss for all 3, but the first target will be the first gray rectangle line. The second one will be the second gray rectangle line, and the third one will be the third gray rectangle line, all the way up to this region up here. So we can see what are my targets. Approximately, let's go actually to the line, lower, $1.09. So let's just say $1 is very easy from 81 cents. That's a psychological number. We could hit as high as $1.34, even $1.55. If you want to be more conservative, this is what you do. You lower the first target down to $1 since it's a psychological number. And you put your second target to this region, and then your third target to this region. And pay attention to these lines here that I've drawn, these red ones. Okay, so these red lines. We need to break above this red line right now, retest, and then shoot up to the next one. So this is probably the best you're going to do. Okay, very easily. Why? Because we're going to be retesting this red line over here. And we're also going to be retesting this gray zone over here, which overlap right there. So hitting higher than that's going to be tough. If it can, it can easily head up to the next level. But what you can do, one thing we teach is how to put a stop loss and modify it to break even, and even modify it again to lock in profit. So if the price were to continue rising, you can keep making money as high as all the way up to $1.60, and all you do is you just keep locking in your profit. So I teach how to use stop losses. I teach how to do risk management properly, so you're always making $2 or $3 for every $1 you're losing. That's something that we do teach, and that's pretty much all we have time for today. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to now show you quickly a couple things. Okay, so here you can see an example of this is Uniswap. So you can actually see how this works with the support and resistance. It remained in this upward trending channel until it broke out of it, retested it, and collapsed. Okay, so now do we see a downtrend develop? Yes. Let's see, will that continue? So I'm going to be watching, first of all, this level here. Let me just get this correct. There's my first resistance. Let's make that red. I'm also going to draw in a second one, just like we did on Ripple. We're going to need to break that target. Okay, and I can actually throw in a third one here, going from here down to here, which we have broken above. Okay, so we actually hit that line, came back down, we're touching it, we couldn't go back up to that one. We need to break above it to go back up to that one, above that to keep going up to this green line. So it's got its work cut out for it, but right now we're getting some support here for sure. Because of hitting this red line again, it can bounce off of it easily to the next one. Also, I can throw in a horizontal line right at this current moment. So that's a support that will make it green. If that support fails, the next one lower will be somewhere here, and then finally down here. So we have some support levels where you can scale in. If it does drop, you can buy cheaper. Get the $50 t-shirt for $30 or for $20. So right now it's at $22.63. It could come down to as low as $18.50 or even $16.73. But it's already somewhat cheaper than where it was earlier, around $36, $38 is potential. Although keep in mind this line is going lower and lower, so 30 would be a realistic target, which is where it just hit. Okay, so we could retest 30 and it can create some struggles. You can see that's an important key level. In fact, it deserves a line. Let's put that in. And that's a resistance, so we'll make it red. So you get the idea. You know, you can look at different patterns. I haven't shown them all on here, but I look at moving averages, Bollinger Bands, a whole bunch of different things. They tell me the same thing. We can head up to here, $30, which is the middle Bollinger Band. So I'm looking at the blue lines here, blue line here, and blue line in the middle. So we could easily head up to that range. That's this blue shaded area. Okay, so that's definitely bullish for UNI. Anyway, so you get the idea. We're looking at a lot of coins here. Same thing here. This one can head up a little bit. Looks somewhat bullish. Yeah, I'm not concerned about this head and shoulders because, like I said, the neckline is going downward. So even if we go sideways from here, we're not breaking that neckline. In fact, it's more likely to go up to this middle Bollinger Band. The middle Bollinger Band is this, and then the middle of that. So going up to the middle of that is very realistic, and it happens to have a couple green lines there. So yeah, I'm bullish on this one too. At $1.61, it could hit as high as $2.41. So just to give you an idea, again, this is not financial advice. It's just how to calculate your profit lesson example. What we're doing is we're looking at our target of $2.41, subtracting the current price of $2.60 It's already 262, 261. That's $20. Or sorry, no, it's not. 241 minus 161. That's $80. $80 on 160. That's a 50% jump. Okay, now I had called a 50% jump on Ethereum correctly. Okay, this, remember, I had said at the same time as I said cryptos could drop 30 to 50% within 1 month from the first week of May to the first week of June. It only took 1 week for them to drop 30% and off 50% from their record highs. So right after doing that, I had actually called Ethereum on another video at 1800 that it can hit 3000 or 2800. It hit exactly 2800. Okay, since then it's come off again. So these are crazy jumps. These are like going from 1800 up 1000. That's over 50% move also, which I had called just the other week, this month. All of these predictions I'm talking about. So, we're talking about a 30% decline plus a 50% jump, both accurate. Why? Because we learned how to do these charts. So I'm going to now show you a top secret chart I use, software that I use to help me confirm my analysis. But before I do that, I'm just going to remind for those right before we end the stream that we do have Satoshi Saturdays every Friday. So if you missed this call, please be on the next one. This is how you can jump on that call in the future. So don't forget www.satoshisaturdays.live. You can attend these in person. When you're in person, you get actually more content. You'll also get access to more give outs and prizes down the road, which we're planning to roll out. So this is exciting. Don't forget to jump on the next call. So that being said, my name is Rod Paddock. I'm going to end the live